Hello, I am Alphonso McGriff III, and this is Alphonso Speaks. And this is a platform that we use to promote the conscious conversation experience. The conscious conversation experience is a collaboration and movement that chooses love and enlightenment. It's not difficult. The conscious conversation experience is a collaboration and movement that chooses love and enlightenment. One of the things that's so important that we have to realize is most of the time we're choosing our life and everything that is before us. And what we see before us, if we don't like it, we have to make different choices. It's oversimplified, but that's pretty close to fact. If we don't like our life, then the first thing that we can do is make different choices. So it's about so we choose love and enlightenment. And I try to choose love and enlightenment as much as I can. Love and enlightenment is where it's at and what it's about. So this is Alphonso Speaks. This is a platform for the conscious conversation experience. I would like to remind everyone that the Taste of the Caribbean Arts and Culture Connecticut Inc. presents Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival on Saturday, August 1st. And that will be down at the riverfront. So if you want some good food, some good people, some good vibes, some good music, and a good time, come hang out at the Taste of Caribbean Arts, Taste of Caribbean Jerk Festival on Saturday, August 1st. Saturday, August 1st. That's a week from this Saturday. It'll be and a lot of live music and entertainment, and it's a great experience. And guess what? It doesn't even cost anything. There'll be vendors there, of course, with food and other goods, but it's a great experience. It doesn't cost anything. It's a family affair. They even have what they call well, we have what we call a children's village, and that is specifically designed to keep young ones. Uh, and so, the Taste of Caribbean Arts and Culture Connecticut Inc. presents the Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Festival, Saturday, August 1st, down at the riverfront. Come hang out with us and have a good time. I also like to remind people that if you are interested in having conscious conversation on the individual level or with a group, just let me know. And I feel like I have a lot to offer, and there's a lot to learn on both sides. So I go into these conversations looking to learn and to share what I understand to the best of my ability and share what makes sense to me. So if you're interested in having a conscious conversation on the individual level or in a group, let me know. At this stage of the game, all I need is some water. That's all I'm asking for. If you have some water, that'd be great. So that's where it's at. Resolution is always a part of a conscious conversation because resolution helps with bring enlightenment in many cases. And resolution is the successful solving of a problem, the successful solving of a problem. I often say every day when I go on social media, inside of 30 seconds, something's going to scroll across and it's going to be a fight or an argument or something just horrible that we're doing to each other. It doesn't matter which, it could be TikTok, it can be X and my X inside 10 to 15 seconds. It can be Instagram. All of these platforms have no problem displaying conflict and confrontation. And I have no problem being in the minority being out here trying to promote how we can better, how we can do better with how we interact with one another. So I'm here to help myself and people around the world transform conflict into conscious conversation that leads to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. What is a conscious conversation? Conscious conversation is a verbal interaction where we speak with a desire to understand. We ask questions and we share information. We take responsibility for our thoughts, words, and actions, and control our prejudices and emotions, which, if left unchecked, will disrupt the goal of having a conscious conversation. The strength of a conscious conversation is its ability to inspire rather than manipulate. Ultimately, the conscious conversation experience is a pathway to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. Understanding must be a part of a conscious conversation. If there is no desire to understand, there can be no conscious conversation. At the root of a conscious conversation is the desire to understand. Now, I've learned that developing myself can lead to unnecessary challenges with insecure people who are intimidated by those who have a sense of self. And that's just a reality. It's just as well different. So it's something that we need to be so we can properly protect ourselves when we find ourselves among insecure people. It's just one of the challenges and consequences associated with personal growth. It's something you just have to deal with. Tonight, thoughts that I'm willing to have a conscious conversation about. I'm going to go over the 10 guidelines for having a conscious conversation. I'm going to go over all 10 guidelines for having a conscious conversation. Guideline number one, we speak with respect and modesty. We speak with respect and modesty. We know exactly how we want people to speak to us. There's a specific tone that encourages us to listen, an energy we would like to feel, and words we can hear that help us understand what's being said. So, guideline number one, we speak with respect and modesty. That's very important that that's how we handle things. We speak with respect and modesty. That's guideline number one. Guideline number two. So, anytime I enter into a conscious conversation, in order to help people understand what I mean when I'm having a conscious conversation, I let them know what the guideline number two, we keep in mind. This eliminates debating about who's right and who's wrong. When we have confidence in what we share, while being aware of what we don't know, we make ourselves available to learn from others. So we have to keep an open mind. There's so much that we don't know, we have no idea what's not possible. So when somebody tells us something is not possible, they don't have any idea what's not possible. It's just too much that we don't know. And so a major part of making things possible is to think it and then gather enough information to bring it into reality. So we keep an open mind. Guideline number three, we do not agree or disagree. We do not agree or disagree or agree to disagree in a conversation. A traditional conversation seeks agreement from listeners. Trying to get an agreement prevents a conscious conversation because our goal is to understand and resolve, not to agree. So during a conscious conversation, we don't look for agreement, we look for understanding. Guideline number four, passive aggressive behavior is discouraged. Intentional distractions are never part of a conscious conversation. We resort to passive aggressive behavior when we can't handle a perspective that is different. So when we engage in passive aggressive behavior, we start doing things to try to distract the speaker. That's not the kind of behavior we're rocking with in the conscious conversation. Guideline number 5. We do not engage in personal attacks or intentionally hurtful remarks. When negative emotions take over and understanding is no longer desired, this can lead to negative comments and actions. This behavior is not accepted in a conscious conversation. We do not want to start hurling insults. A lot of times when we can't articulate ourselves in a way that's understandable by others, some of us begin hurling insults. That's why you got those funny looking shoes on. Well, that wasn't part of the conversation. Why do we have to talk about somebody's shoes looking funny? So anyway, guideline number 5, we do not engage in personal attacks on intentionally hurtful remarks. Guideline number 6, one person speaks at a time. Interruptions are highly discouraged in a conscious conversation. This is so difficult for people to abide by. Traditionally, what we call give and take is to cut each other off and interrupt one another during conversation. This behavior may be the greatest challenge for most people interested in having a conscious conversation, and that is to not be cut people off. And then the famous one, well, sorry to cut you off, but no, we don't do that in the conscious conversation. You don't have to apologize for cutting people off because we don't do that in the conscious conversation. We ask that that doesn't happen. We got smartphones, we can take notes. We got pen and paper, we can write things down. Oh, I don't want to lose what I was going to say. Write it down. Put it in your phone. Do something other than interrupt the person. So one person speaks at a time. Interrupt is not discouraged. Guideline number 7. We do not accuse anyone of being wrong. You're wrong. No, we're just looking for understanding. You can be right and wrong in the traditional conversation. But in the conscious conversation, we don't accuse people of being wrong. We either understand them or we don't. That's it. Everybody's coming with their own reality. When we feel correct, we also tell others they're wrong. When this happens, people become defensive. And rather than learning from one another, we want to win an argument. And we're no longer involved in this conversation, so we don't tell people they're wrong. We listen, and if we understand, it's a beautiful thing. If we don't, that's beautiful. And then we share our perspective, and hopefully our own perspective is understood. And people have enough sense to figure out what makes sense to them. Have some faith in knowing that people have enough sense to determine what makes sense to them. So we do not accuse anyone of being wrong. Guideline number 8, everyone is right. We're only sometimes going to be compatible. The only relevant history we bring to a conversation is our truth. The mind is like unique details in the thinking. This is why we think, speak, and see things different. It's only natural for us to see things different. If we understood each other at the bare minimum, we would understand that when we engage in a conversation, it's highly likely that we're not going to see things the same way. And in this society, we are convinced that we have to convince other people that they're wrong and we're right. In a conscious conversation, we do that because we're not trying to convince anybody of anything. We either understand or we don't. So everybody's right in a conscious conversation. If you say 2 plus 2 is 4, and I say 2 plus 2 is 3, you can just blast me off for saying I'm wrong and all of that kind of stuff. And 2 plus 2 is not 4. Well, we're not in the math class. We're in a conscious conversation. And I might have an understanding and a reason why I said it. But the only way you can find out is if you ask, okay, help me understand how you got to me. And that's what it's about. Help me understand how you'll be at that place. And even if you can understand who you don't. But that's what we do in a conscious conversation. In a conscious conversation, we never call anybody crazy. This is dismissive and inflammatory. The statement is insulting, it's dismissive, it's antagonizing, and inflammatory. When we use it, we confirm that we have no respect for that person, their history, experiences, or what they have to say. That's what that means when you call somebody crazy during a conversation. Anything they have to say. And that's not how we operate during a conscious conversation. We never call people crazy, ever, in a conscious conversation. And guideline number 10, we do not argue. Arguments can lead to unpredictable, tragic endings, especially if the people who are arguing are both totally absent of emotional intelligence and are emotionally out of control. Now it's we have no idea how it's going to end. So we don't argue. The most brilliant minds on the planet know little to nothing compared to all there is to know about life. Buildings and monuments on this planet have yet to be constructed and figured out as it relates to how they were built. So if it's things on this planet that other humans have built and created, and we right now today have no idea how it was done, and that's not even to mention all the things about life and reality that we still don't know. It is my opinion that a lifetime can be 1,000 years, and we can live 1,000 lifetimes and still not fully understand everything there is about life and this setup and this universe and this planet and all it entails. So you know, argument is a sign of insecurity. If you know what your name is and somebody calls you by another name, you might correct them a couple of times, and by the third time, you just write them off as crazy. Now, that's what you'll say, but you won't say that in a conscious conversation. In a conscious conversation, you will just accept the fact that they don't understand together. But at the end of the day, we don't argue about things we obviously are clear about. I wouldn't argue about my name. Why would I argue with a stranger about my name? Because I'm clear who I am and what my name is. So that begs the question, why would I argue with anybody about anything that I claim to know and understand? It just doesn't make sense. So during the conscious conversation, we don't argue. So I'll go over the 10 guidelines right quick. Guideline number 1, we speak with respect and modesty. Guideline number 2, we keep an open mind. Guideline number 3, we do not agree or disagree or agree to disagree. Guideline number 4, passive aggressive behavior is. Guideline number 5, we do not engage in personal attacks or intentionally hurtful remarks. Guideline number 6, one person speaks at a time. Interruption is highly discouraged. Guideline number 7, we do not accuse anyone of being wrong. Guideline number 8, everybody's right. We're only sometimes going to be compatible. Guideline number 9, we never call anyone crazy. This is dismissive and inflammatory. And guideline number 10, we do not argue. Arguments can lead to unpredictable, tragic endings. So anytime I go out to speak to a group or an individual with the desire to have a conscious conversation, I set over the guidelines. So we understand what a conscious conversation is. And we understand the guidelines for conscious conversation. And so if I'm facilitating a conscious conversation, my goal is to keep us within the guideline and structure of what I identify as a conscious conversation. So those are some thoughts that I'm willing to have a conscious conversation about. Even if we had a conscious conversation about the guidelines, that would be cool too. So the other question I always ask every night is, in what ways do I make decisions that hurt me? In what ways do I make decisions that hurt me? And tonight's question is, do I have challenges with mentally and emotionally detaching from people, occurrences, and reality that I have no control over? If I have this problem, then I'm making decisions that hurt me. Do I have challenges with mentally and emotionally detaching from people, occurrences, and realities that I have no control over? And if we have a problem with that, then we're making decisions ourselves. We have to learn how to detach from people that continue to move a certain energy and a certain frequency that we don't want to be in. We have to detach from certain realities that we're anything we have no control over. We have to mentally and emotionally detach from these things because we can't change anything but ourselves. And most of us have some challenges doing that. So that's what I want to put on the table. That's a serious question. Do I have challenges with mentally and emotionally detaching from people, occurrences, and realities that I have no control? Most of us torture ourselves with things we have no control over because it's called worry. It's called worry. We're thinking about the future, we're thinking about the past, and the present is just floating on by. When we can put our imagination together and focus on right now, what can I do right now so that I can feel good and be well in this moment right now? And I share with people that one of my favorite go-tos when I need to be good in the moment right now is I talk about speaking before hundreds and even thousands of people and having their ear and listening to me one day. And so when I'm having a challenge, I use my imagination. And I'm smiling already because it works for me really well. I use my imagination. And the first thing I do is imagine the view from behind me standing on stage. And I'm facing thousands of people and they're listening to me and what I have to say. Once I put that, use my imagination, put that on my mind, it relieves me, especially since I'm constantly doing things to make that happen, to achieve that goal. Then it inspires me to jump on a computer and do other things, more things to help make that happen. So you have to have a you. We have to use our imagination for good things, not just horrible results. We have the ability to use our imagination to create wonderful pictures of and have wonderful results right now in the moment. And sometimes it might be hard, but that just means we have to put our mind to work in a positive way because we spend so much time using our mind to focus on negative things. What negative is going to potentially happen down the road in the future, negative things that have happened in the past. But right now, I have the ability to put that beautiful picture in my mind that sees me from behind, standing in front of thousands of people, and those people listening to what I have to say because I'm sharing something that will potentially be valuable. That is my go-to every time. It works for me every time. And I have other things that I imagine as well. But I have the power to imagine whatever I want. Everyone does. And we have to put our imagination to work and choose to feel good. If someone asked any of us, if you had a choice, how would you like to feel every day? Okay. I think most of us would say, I'd love to just feel good every day. Well, technically, we can if we choose to. We can if we choose to. And we put our minds and our determination and our imagination, and we put that all to work. And we're making ourselves feel bad. Why would we doubt that we can make ourselves feel good? Because 1,000% of the time, however we're feeling, that's what we chose. Nobody made us feel that way. We have a habit of saying that. Oh, they did this to me and made me feel this way. No, no. 1,000% of the time, how we feel is what we chose. How we feel is what we choose. Give you an example. If I said something to you about a deceased relative that you felt dear, is very dear to you, and I said something insulting to you about that, but I said it in Russian. If you don't understand the language, you would just look at it. If I say it in English and you understand it, a lot of us don't know that we assess things so fast, the moments in time can't be measured. You can't measure them. Moments go by so fast they can't be measured. And what I'm saying is we assess things so fast, moments in time. And when we assess these things, then we choose how we're going to feel. We're convinced because we don't understand how our mind and body works. We're convinced that somebody says something that made us feel something. Somebody says something that pushed my buttons. But believe it or not, somebody says something and you assess it so fast that you think that made you feel that way when in all actuality you assessed it and you chose to feel that way. I assess what has been said and I make a decision and choose how I'm going to feel about what's been said. But we assess it or I assess it so fast, I think somebody else did it. No, 1,000% of the time, how we feel is what we chose. Check that out. Investigate that. If anybody have any questions, I'm on Facebook, Alphonso Speaks. Type a question in the comments at any time. I'm not afraid to be questioned about what I say. Not at all. And I can say to you that I don't say anything that I haven't thought about. And even if my reasoning is twisted to the left, I have a reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. I can explain why I'm saying it. Now, I can try to help somebody understand why I'm saying so. That doesn't guarantee that they'll understand what I'm saying. I can explain it to my ability. I don't say things because they're nice quotes. And everything I say, I can tell you why I said it and where I can comfortably do it. So I'm not afraid of questions. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm not afraid of questions is I don't know. I'm saying I don't know. It's just way too much about this planet and life, reality. It's way too much that I don't know to be afraid to say, hey, I don't know. That's why I have no problem with questions. No problem. I would like to remind you that the Taste of the Caribbean Arts Culture Connecticut Incorporated presents Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival, Saturday, August 1st, down there at the riverfront. So come on, it's going to be live entertainment, bands, food, beautiful people, beautiful environment, vendors, and there's no charge to get in. You can just come walk in and enjoy everything. I also like to remind you that if you want to have a conscious conversation, individual, do that, or want to get together with a group, I'm open for doing it. Conscious conversation. And the only thing that I require is if I can have some water and maybe some red grapes. That's it. I'm not asking for any. I'm not asking for any money, any of that stuff. I'm just saying if you want to experience or try to experience having a conscious conversation, I'm open for it. Let's talk about it. Inbox me, and we can make it happen. Whatever it's about. It can be about, everybody's talking about relationships. I have a very interesting understanding of love, relationships as well, and about life. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I'm here to help myself and people around the world transform conflict into conscious conversation, leads to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. I, 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 I see us fighting so much. Like I said, I can get on social media and within 30 seconds, a bill coming up with a fight, and we try to hurt each other so bad. Especially women, gee whiz, dude, just out here fighting, and the guys out here fighting. I mean, just vicious, trying to really, hurt each other for life. Like these fights are so vicious, and I don't know what else to do. The only thing I can do is offer this book, The Roots, the Genesis of a Conscious Conversation. Offer this book again, The Roots of a Tree, the Genesis of a Conscious Conversation, and offer to have conscious conversations for those who are interested. You could be doing anything right now. In this very moment, you chose to give me some time in your life. I do not take it for granted. I appreciate it. whether it's live or you watch this video, I I definitely appreciate it. Um, I love you all, and I always will. And I will never give up on our people, ever. Now, and then I won't be out here dogging this out because of the conditions we're in today. I think that there's some work we need to be done, and I don't see a lot of people offer a way for us to be better. I think I offer a way for us to be better, but I hear just a lot of the same old kind of stuff, and I think I'm offering something that's a little bit different. So, uh, you all have a wonderful evening, and Tony Myers, I'll call you and go from there. Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening.